So what we have here with our little showcase that I would like to demonstrate to you today is something that we developed together with TomTom WORK. Many of you might know TomTom. It's the European market leader for GPS navigation systems. We have two of them here on our demonstration booth. TomTom has a B2B division which is called TomTom WORK, and what they do, they provide service fleets. So for instance, technicians in a service fleet with these devices from TomTom. They look just like a usual TomTom device, but they were special because there's a possibility to communicate with that devices. So for instance, a back office could send orders to the fleet by using these devices, and the driver can send messages back. So for instance, I have a problem, or I want to take that order. And we connected this system with our system, which is called webMethods and ARIS, to define a business process and to tell a little story that I would like to show you right now. What it shows is three guys that are keen to see the World Cup final 2010. This is very German, by the way. So it's between Germany and Spain, because Spain is our partner country this year. And the worst thing that can happen happens. The TV breaks down. So what to do? The guys are really totally shocked, but the girl is at least still able to talk, and she calls into the cable provider and asks the cable provider if they might be able to fix the problem, because they want to see the final. So it's a very, very urgent case right now. So what happens is that the call center agent uses, for instance, an SAP system to select a customer and to create a new incident message. This is just done with one click, and the call center agent is done. So there's nothing more to do, because the call center agent knows that the entire handling of the incident will be taken by the process. So there is a process defined on what to do if something happens in the customer base. So as you can see here, we have two views on the same process. This is the business view on the process, using our modeling tool called ARIS to define what should be done and what point in time, and how to react on certain events. And this is the technical representation of the implemented process. So this process is not just something that I modeled, this is something that is really implemented with an automation engine, which is called webMethods BPMS. And as you can see, we have three actions already taken. The first one was we registered the incident, which was done by the call center agent, and the incident has been dispatched as an order to the fleet. We will see how that worked. And now the process stops. You see that blinking. The process stops and waits for someone to take that order. And how is that done? What you can't see from behind, I'm sorry, is that there's a message that came into that TomTom device. So it's a tiny letter that you can see here. So the driver now knows, oh, there's something for me. So what is it? He can click on it and you see, there's a problem with a certain customer, so I should go there. So he agrees and navigates to that customer. So because all the information that is required, he has already with that device. So there's nothing more for him to do. He's now navigating to that, and would start to fulfill this order. And you see the process just jumped one step beyond. So now the driver starts the engine. So if a problem occurs, like in this case, the driver has some problems with his motor. Obviously, there's something wrong with the motor. He can use just a TomTom device to tell the process, or to tell the backend that there's something wrong with the car. So he just sends a message back to the back office, and now the process has an escalation mode defined that just redispatched the order to another driver. So you could think of everything else that you could do with IT here. So you could, for instance, send out a message to the customer, by the way, we have a problem, it will be 10 minutes late when the technician will arrive, which is of course very severe if the World Cup final is going on. You can see here the escalation mode. Now we are going back into the process and do a dispatching again. There's a second driver already, and there's a letter here, and the driver can now agree to that and fulfill the order. So what is very special here is that the system is able to track every tiny little step within that process. So it's not only like dispatching orders, you can also see, okay, what is the status of the order? So did the technician already arrive? Did you already start to try to fix the problem? And this can all be done with just one device very easily for the driver. It doesn't have to do anything else. So let's say he just arrived, and every message is sent back to the process, so that the process always know what status are we in. You see, it is proceeding, So now I arrived at the customer and start to try to fix the problem, going down to the cellular and checking if there's some cable maybe that's broken or something else. So let's say I found the problem. It was just a mouse that destroyed a cable, so I fixed the cable. And so I will release these poor guys and let them watch the final. So let's say I fixed the problem, and by that, this process instance is gone through and the order has been fulfilled. You could think of additional steps in that process. For instance, you could send out an invoice to the customers. You could have some tracking within whatever systems. By the way, these guys are really happy now, and usually the driver could now take new orders, but he's a football fan himself, so he joins the guys and they're watching together the final. So what I want to show you here is that you can have now, without any development efforts that you have, you can add new functionality to that process just like you want. So for instance, you can add messaging back and forth with the customer. You could even have an automated call going out using our webMethods Communicate product to say, dear customer, so you call a customer with an automated dialogue system, dear customer, the technician is about to arrive in 30 minutes. Are you there? Press 1 for yes, press 2 for another time. And then you can have this dialogue incorporated in the process to make it even more efficient. So that is what Software AG in combination with other systems like TomTom WORK can provide to customers. So for instance, here you can see a typical example of a fleet with 500 cars in it. And you can see that as we now have the total control of the processes, and we know for every process what step it has, how long did it take, what did the technician do, we can use that data to communicate it to a management view and have this management view in our product, which is called Iris Mesh Cell. And here you can see, for instance, that over the time, sorry for the German here, the utilization of the fleet has increased by 7%. How did that work? So if you compare that with typical order management systems, where you have, in the morning, the driver comes into the office and gets a list of things he has to do. So customer 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then he starts to drive. The first one is fine. The second one was at the bakery at that time, so I didn't find him. I need to go there again. The third one I missed because I was stuck in a traffic jam. So you know that you have to go to customers 2 or 3 times sometimes. So this is something that you can prevent with that system, because the driver doesn't get any list at the morning. So he just jumps into the car, registered to be ready for new orders, and gets the order one after the other, and the system takes care of making it intelligent and dispatching it intelligently to the fleet. So this is something that is really increasing the efficiency, and by that also decreasing the amount of petrol that you need. So it's a cost driver, of course, and you want to reduce that and also reduce the carbon footprint of your fleet by that. Funny, but also very interesting, is that the system is also able to categorize your driving behavior. So if you're a very aggressive driver, so really like braking very hard and accelerating like hell, then you're consuming a lot of petrol, which you shouldn't use, and you have a higher risk of an accident. And the system is able to track that and to send that data back. Of course, it's anonymized, so we don't have the names of that guys, but you can still see, okay, what is the amount of drivers in my fleet that are defensive drivers? So you can see that because of measuring it, we had a program here that defensive drivers get a bonus. So when you're a defensive driver, you save us money, and we pay some of that money back to you. So integrating that data with an HR system, you could have programs in place that you can show to your insurance and say, hey, insurance company, you see, we are driving much more defensive, so we want to have a new contract with better conditions for us. So this is a tiny overview on one example what you can do. Of course, we have a lot of more products and solutions for our customers here on the booth, so I invite you to have a look, of course, after the guided tour, and come back to our booth and make yourself familiar with our products, and thank you for listening.